My brother told me there was no room for me at Christmas, like I was extra luggage, so I booked a solo trip, thinking I was finally free. I did not expect to start trending as the missing sister. I did not expect police wellness checks, or my parents begging me to come home on live TV. By the time they realized what it felt like to be left out, it was too late. I had already chosen a different family. My name is Brianna West. I am 28 years old, and the fluorescent lights of Northline Studio are humming. It is a sound I usually find comforting, the white noise of productivity. But tonight, 2 days before Christmas, it feels like a drill pressing lightly against my skull. I just hit send on the final wireframes for a massive banking app rollout. I am a senior UX designer. My job, the one I am very good at, is to anticipate how people will feel. I build user journeys. I create intuitive flows. I spend my days making sure no one ever feels lost, confused, or excluded by a complex system. The irony is a physical weight in my chest. The Chicago office is quiet, save for the click of my own keyboard and the distant sound of the elevators. The rest of the floor is a ghost town, decorated with sad silver tinsel drooping over empty cubicle partitions. I have been pulling overtime for 3 solid weeks, fueled by stale coffee from the break room and the promise of the holiday break. The break I assumed, until this very second, that I was having. My phone, lying screen down on the cold laminate of my desk, gives a sharp, impatient buzz. It is not a Slack notification. It is not a work email. It is a personal text message. I pick it up, a small, hopeful flicker in my stomach. Maybe it is my mom, Linda, asking when I'm heading out, or a logistics question about the drive tomorrow. It is from my younger brother, Ethan. My stomach does not just flicker, it seizes. His name on the screen is a warning siren. I tap the message open, my thumb already feeling cold. No room for you on the Christmas cabin trip, maybe next year. It is followed by a small, yellow emoji of a face smiling, but with a single, anxious drop of sweat on its brow, the one that is supposed to mean few or close call. But in this context, it just looks cruel, smirking. No room. 4 words. The air leaves my lungs in a silent, painful rush. The hum of the lights seems to stop. My entire world narrows to those 4 words and that one smiling, sweating face. I read it again, and a third time, as if the letters might rearrange themselves into something kind. No room for you. Not, hey, plans changed. We messed up the booking. Not, so sorry. B, we have to scale back. Just, no room, like I am an optional piece of furniture they decided not to move. Maybe next year, a casual, meaningless dismissal. A pat on the head to the family dog being left at the kennel. My hand, the one holding the phone, begins to shake. It is a fine, high-frequency tremor that starts in my fingers and radiates up my arm. A hot, acidic feeling rises in my throat. I want to type back a paragraph of white-hot fury. I want to ask why. I want to demand a detailed, logical explanation for how a family cabin in Colorado, a place supposedly rented for the entire week, has no physical room for one more person. My own sister. But movement catches my eye. Sarah, from the analytics team, is packing up her desk 2 rows over. She glances up, her face bright with holiday relief. Cutting it close? B, she calls out, zipping her bag. Merry Christmas! I force my face into a shape that resembles a smile. The muscles in my cheeks feel like stone. You too. Sarah, travel safe. I cannot break down here. I cannot let the mask of Brianna West, the competent, calm, senior designer, crack open and spill onto the corporate carpet. I cannot let them see. My thumbs, shaking, hover over the keyboard. What do I say to no room for you? Do I beg? Do I rage? I type 1 word. Cool. I hit send. The blue bubble hangs there in the silence, a monument to my own cowardice. I lock the screen immediately, placing the phone back down on the desk, screen down, as if it is radioactive. I turn back to my monitor, staring at the finalized wireframe, but the clean vector lines are blurring. I blink hard, focusing on the hex codes, focusing on my breathing, focusing on anything but the sudden, intense burning sensation behind my eyes. I will not cry, not here. I manage to pack my laptop, wrap my scarf around my neck, and ride the elevator down 20 floors in a state of complete, automated numbness. The walk to the L train is brutal. The wind slicing off the lake, but I barely feel it. The cold is internal now. It has found a home in my marrow. By the time I am back in my small, quiet apartment in Lincoln Park, the numbness is beginning to wear off. It is being replaced by a deep, familiar ache, the kind I have learned to live with, like a bad joint that flares up in the cold. It has been 45 minutes since the text, 45 minutes of absolute deafening silence from my entire family. No follow-up, no, Mom wanted to be the one to tell you, no, it's complicated, B, nothing. I drop my keys on the counter. They clatter loudly in the silence. I should make tea. I should order food. I should do something normal. Instead, I pull out my phone and open Facebook. I do not know why. It is a compulsion, a form of self-harm, a need to pick at the wound until it bleeds again, just to make sure it is real. It is the first thing I see. It is a new post, uploaded minutes ago. My mother, Linda, posted it. It is a photo. It is not a loading the car photo from their driveway. It is an already there photo. They are in the cabin, the one with no room. They are all smiling, their faces bathed in the warm, orange glow of a massive stone fireplace. My dad, Mark, looking relaxed. My mom, Linda, raising a glass of red wine to the camera, her smile wide and carefree. And Ethan, his arms slung possessively around his girlfriend of 6 months. Sophie. Sophie is there. There was room for Sophie. They are all wearing matching red plaid pajamas. Pajamas I was never sent. Pajamas I was clearly never meant to have. The caption cuts deeper than the text message. It is a public execution of my worth. All my favorite people in one place for Christmas. So blessed. All her favorite people. The words hang in the airless void of my apartment. I am, definitively, not one of them. My fingers are clumsy, numb. As I pinch the screen, I zoom in, desperate and horrified, searching for, I do not know what, proof, an explanation. The cabin is huge, vaulted ceilings, antler chandeliers, a Christmas tree that scrapes the rafters, dripping with lights. This is not some rustic 2-bedroom shack. This is a luxury lodge. This is a place with plenty of room. And then I see it. To the left of the fireplace, perfectly in frame, is an empty armchair, a big, welcoming, worn leather armchair. Draped over the arm is a blanket. Not just any blanket, it is the heavy wool plaid blanket, the green and navy one that I used to claim every Christmas movie marathon, the one I thought was still packed away in the linen closet at their house. It is folded neatly, waiting. The chair is empty, the blanket is there is room. There is a space specifically, visually, carved out, but it was not for me. Maybe it is for Sophie to put her feet up. Maybe it is just for aesthetics. It does not matter. The visual proof that no room was a lie, not a logistical problem but a deliberate, calculated choice, is sitting right there by the fire. I scroll down, my thumb moving mechanically. The comments are flooding in, a cascade of validation for the perfect family in the perfect cabin. Perfect family, from my Aunt Karen. So cozy. Enjoy. Linda, you deserve it, from one of her book club friends. Wish I were there. Looks amazing, from an old neighbor. Goals. Just beautiful. Dozens of them. I scan every single one, my heart pounding a sick, slow rhythm, looking for a single question. Where's Brianna? Missing someone? Hope Brianna is joining you soon. Nothing. It is as if I was never part of the equation. I am not just absent. I am invisible. My non-existence does not even register as a hole in the picture. And then, Nestled between the "so jealous" and the flurry of heart emojis is a comment from Ethan himself. It was posted just moments ago. No drama allowed this year. It is paired with the emoji of the face laughing so hard, it is crying. The blood drains from my face. I feel suddenly, violently lightheaded. It is not just a text message, it is a public statement, a justification. He did not just exclude me, he announced to our entire extended family and all of my mother's friends why I was excluded. I am the drama. My desire for inclusion, my quiet expectation to be part of my own family at Christmas, is drama. My feelings are an inconvenience. My very presence is a problem they are relieved to be without. The few sweat drop emoji from the text suddenly makes sickening, perfect sense. They dodged the Brianna bullet. A new, colder dread settles over me. This was planned. This was not a last-minute decision. I switch apps, my fingers moving stiffly. I open my text messages again. We have a family group chat. West family. It is mostly my mom posting links to articles and my dad sending, "Okay." It has been quiet. But I realize now, staring at the screen, it has been too quiet. I scroll back. The last message is from 3 weeks ago. It is from me. "Hey, just checking in on Christmas plans. Should I look at flights or are we driving?" No one ever replied. I search my entire chat list. Cabin, Christmas, holiday, nothing. Then I remember Ethan's Facebook post. One of his friends had commented, "Looks sick. Send pics to the cabin crew." A new group. My heart stops. I type cabin crew into my message search bar. 0 results. I was not just muted, I was not just ignored, I was removed. They created a new reality, a new family unit, a new chat, weeks ago. They planned the matching pajamas, they booked the luxury lodge, they coordinated travel, they discussed, laughed, and planned the entire trip in a digital space they built specifically to keep me out. The text message tonight was not the decision, it was the final, lazy, administrative notification that the decision had been made long, long ago. I slide down onto my cold kitchen floor, my back pressing hard against the cabinets. The phone feels toxic in my hand, heavy with all the data that confirms my non-existence. I am completely, utterly numb. The static in my head is so loud, I cannot form a coherent thought of anger or sadness. It is just blank, a white screen, a failed loading state. My fingers move on their own. I open my web browser. I look at my recent searches. UX design trends, best restaurants Chicago, Figma plugins. I delete them all. I type in a new search. Solo Christmas trips. The results are pathetic. All-inclusive resorts for singles in Cancun, silent yoga retreats, lonely hearts cruises, all bright, all loud, all forced community. I type again. Flights leaving tomorrow. Cheapest flight anywhere. I am a senior designer at a top agency. I am the one people come to for answers. I am the one who fixes broken systems. And I am sitting on my floor at 8:30 p.m., 2 days before Christmas, Googling how to disappear. And then, an ad pops up. It is not flashy, it is targeted. The algorithm, in its cold binary wisdom, sensed the solo and Christmas keywords and served me an escape. The Northern Lights Express. A Christmas Eve journey. It is a sleeper train. It cuts through the deep wilderness, heading to a town I have never heard of, Silver Ridge, Montana. The package includes a 3-night stay in a private, solitary cabin. The lead image is not of a smiling group, not of a beach, not of a party. It is a single log cabin, its chimney puffing a thin line of smoke, buried in pristine, blue-tinged snow. Above it, the sky is saturated with green light and a spray of impossible stars. It looks quiet. It looks remote. It looks like the loneliest place on earth. It looks perfect. The numbness cracks. It does not just leak. It shatters. Something hot and sharp and bright flares up inside me. It is not just sadness. It is not just hurt. It is rage. It is the sudden, blinding realization that I have spent my entire adult life waiting for an invitation that was never going to come. I have worked late. I have saved my money. I have been the responsible one, the easy one, the low-drama one, all in the desperate, quiet hope that they would finally see me, finally value me, finally make room. A thought crystallizes, clear and bright as the stars in the advertisement. If they do not have room for me, I will find a place entirely without them. A place where the empty chair is just an empty chair, not a statement. A place where my solitude is a choice, not a punishment. I click the link. The package is expensive. It is obscenely, wildly last minute. It is impulsive and reckless. I look at the picture from my mother's Facebook page, still glowing on the screen. All my favorite people. I look back at the booking page for the Montana train. A private cabin, a seat for one. My heart is hammering against my ribs. A wild, unfamiliar rhythm. It is the sound of breaking. It is the sound of escaping. My finger hovers over the button, the bright, insistent button that says "Book Now." It is a strange, terrifying, exhilarating feeling. This mix of profound, world-ending hurt and the first, sharp, freezing breath of liberation. I press the button. The Book Now button is a strange, final thing. It is not a celebration. It is an amputation. As I type in my credit card details, my hands are perfectly steady. The tremor is gone, replaced by a cold, sharp certainty. The confirmation email arrives with a cheerful chime, and just like that, I have a ticket to Montana. I have a seat for one. This is not a new feeling, this exclusion. It is just the loudest it has ever been. The text message from Ethan, the Facebook post from my mother, they are just the final exhibit in a case file I have been mentally building for 12 years. This is not a sudden break. It is the final, crumbling brick in a wall that has been systematically demolished, Christmas by Christmas, since I was a teenager. The first time it happened, I was 16. I remember the month, the day. It was early November. I came home from school, my backpack heavy with textbooks, and found my parents and Ethan at the kitchen table, surrounded by travel brochures for New Orleans, bright pictures of the French Quarter, jazz music, and beignets. "We're so excited, B," my mom said, her voice a little too high, a little too bright. "A real Christmas adventure." I remember the simple, stupid, childish joy that hit me. New Orleans. Amazing. When do we leave? My father, Mark, cleared his throat. He was the one who always delivered the bad news, buffered by a layer of false, paternal logic. "Well, honey, that's the thing. We found this incredible boutique hotel deal, but the room, it really only fits 4 people, your mother and I, and then Ethan and, well, it's a king bed and a pull-out sofa." Ethan, then 14 and already an expert in twisting the knife, chimed in, "I'm not sharing with you." My mom just smiled, a tight, apologetic grimace. "It just doesn't make sense to book a whole separate room for just one person. You understand, honey, it's a logistics thing." I did not understand. I stood there, my backpack straps digging into my shoulders, and felt the floor drop out. A logistics thing. I was a logistics thing that did not fit. I spent that Christmas at my aunt's house, watching her argue with my uncle, feeling like a piece of misplaced freight. The next year, I was 17. The excuse was Vermont. Ethan had discovered snowboarding. "Brianna, you're older now," my mother explained, her hand on my arm in that placating way of hers. "You can see the big picture. This trip is really for Ethan. It's his passion." "And you're so responsible," my dad added. "We need someone to hold down the fort. We can't just leave the house empty and board Buster for a week. You're mature enough to handle this for us. We need you to be the adult here." So I was the adult. At 17, I spent Christmas Eve shoveling the driveway and listening to Buster, our old golden retriever, whine by the front door. They left me with a $20 bill for pizza and a list of emergency numbers. They sent me photos from the ski lift. It became the slogan, the family motto, reserved just for me. No room. The years blur, a montage of brightly colored destinations where I was not. Orlando, for the theme parks, Seattle, to see the Space Needle, Napa, for a grown-up wine trip that apparently did not include me, even when I was 23, Austin, for the music scene. The excuses were flimsy, transparent, and always delivered with that same bright, apologetic pity. We're driving this time, B, and there's just no room in the car with all the luggage. We're trying to stick to a tighter budget this year. Honey, 3 tickets were just so much more manageable than 4. You're so busy with work anyway. We didn't want to bother you. They did not ask. They just assumed. I was the responsible one, the busy one, the one who would understand. And for a long time, I tried. I really, desperately tried. I stopped begging to come. I stopped asking, why not me? Instead, I started volunteering for the holiday shift at the coffee shop I worked at in college. I started taking on extra freelance projects in my early 20s, using the quiet office as a refuge. I built a fortress of productivity around the gaping hole where Christmas was supposed to be. It was easier to tell people I had to work than to explain I was not invited. The lowest point came when I was 22. I was in my first apartment, a tiny studio I could barely afford. They had gone to Florida, to some all-inclusive resort, on Christmas Day. My phone buzzed. It was a live stream. I tapped it open, and there they were. My family, on a sunny beach, gathered around a palm tree decorated with tinsel. They were opening gifts. I watched, my breath fogging the cold window of my apartment, as Ethan tore the paper off a brand-new, expensive-looking camera. I watched my mom clap, my dad film him. I watched for 10 full minutes, my stomach churning with the day-old pizza I was eating cold from the box. They signed off without once mentioning my name. About an hour later, an email landed in my inbox. Merry Christmas, honey, from Mom. Attached was a generic $25 Amazon gift card. The subject line was stocking stuffer. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. A $25 digital footnote. My friends in college, the kind, normal ones with kind, normal families, would always ask, Brianna, what are you doing for the break? Come home with me. My mom makes way too much food. I never went. I could not bear the thought of sitting at their crowded, loud, warm tables and having to answer the inevitable question, so, where's your family this year? The shame was too heavy. I could not voice the truth. They just didn't want me. So I made excuses. I'm so slammed. I have 3 final projects to finish. I'm actually picking up extra hours. Textbooks are so expensive. My family? Oh, we're just doing something small, separately. This year. It's complicated. I spent my 20th Christmas alone in my dorm room after the campus had officially closed. I remember standing at the window, watching the snow fall over the empty quad, listening to the distant, muffled sound of church bells. My phone was on the desk, buzzing incessantly. It was the family chat, a different family chat, one I was still in back then. It was a flood of photos, them in matching sweaters, them at a restaurant, them laughing under a ridiculously giant, professionally decorated hotel lobby Christmas tree. Each buzz was a fresh cut. There was one year, just one, where it seemed like it might change. I was 25. I had been open about how much it hurt. In one rare, vulnerable moment, my mother, seeing my tears, had looked genuinely guilty. She hugged me. You're right, honey. It's not fair. I promise. Next year, I promise, we will all be together. There will absolutely be room for you. I clung to that promise like a life raft. I believed her. Next Christmas, Ethan, who had been dating Sophie for just over a year, announced he was going to propose. He was doing it at a 5-star resort in Mexico on Christmas Day. My mother called me. Her voice rushed, full of excitement. Isn't it wonderful? And Brianna, the thing is, we have to be there. It's his moment. But the resort, They're really only accommodating the immediate engagement party. Sophie's parents are flying in. It's going to be so special. I waited. The silence stretched. So, what does that mean for me? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Well, honey, she said, and the apology was back, that thin, useless sound. We were just asking if you would understand, if you would be willing to make space for Sophie's family. It's their moment, too. It's about building his new family. I was being asked to step aside, to literally vacate my position to make room for his future family. The promise of next year dissolved. I was not family. I was the person who was expected to give up her seat. I stopped trying after that. I stopped expecting. I stopped hoping. I learned to build my own Christmas. I bought a tiny, 3-foot-tall tree for my apartment. I bought a single string of lights from the Walgreens after Christmas sale, 75% off. I bought cinnamon-scented candles from the dollar store. I made it for myself. I would make mulled wine, just for me. I would buy myself one nice gift. I created a small, quiet, independent holiday, a world that existed entirely outside their photo albums. But the world outside does not let you forget. The pity is, in some ways, worse than the exclusion. It comes from the barista, the dental hygienist, the well-meaning colleague. Big plans for Christmas? Going home? The question is a minefield. I perfected the casual, breezy lie. Oh, probably not this year. Just so much work. You know? I'll probably just have a quiet one. I saw the look, the quick flickering glance of confusion, then of pity. The, oh, that's nice, that really meant, oh, you poor, lonely person. They could not comprehend a family that simply did not make room. I was a social anomaly. Each no room was a paper cut. Each one was small, insignificant on its own. But 12 years of them, I was bleeding out. It was never about the physical space. It was not about a bed, or a seat in a car, or the price of a plane ticket. It was about the space I took up in their minds. It was the confirmation, year after year, that I did not belong, that I was an afterthought, that I was, and always would be, less important than a ski trip, a hotel budget, or a girlfriend. It was 2 years ago. I was 26. It was Christmas Eve, and I was sitting alone in a Starbucks that was about to close. The barista was mopping the floor. Mariah Carey was singing on the speakers. I was the last customer, nursing a cold peppermint mocha, scrolling through Instagram, watching my friends post pictures with their families. I made a promise to myself, right there in that empty, sterile cafe, a quiet, cold, and absolute vow. By the time I am 30, I will not be in this position. I will not be waiting by the phone. I will not be the maybe next year. I will not be the person anyone looks at with pity. I will not be waiting to see if they have room for me anymore. I will be gone. While I was building my fortress of solitude, one person kept leaving the gate unlocked. My Uncle Rob. He's my father's younger brother, the one the rest of the family refers to as a bit much or too sensitive. He lives just outside Milwaukee, a 90-minute drive I did not make nearly enough, with his wife, my Aunt Marina, and their son, Leo. Rob's world is the complete antithesis of the one I grew up in. My father's family is all about high-gloss performance, the big trip, the perfect photo, the impressive job title. Rob's family is about showing up and digging in. He never, not once, called and said, "Hey, if you're free this weekend, maybe swing by?" That was my parents' language. It was an invitation that came with its own escape clause, a way to offer without having to commit. Rob's texts were commands, delivered with a loving, non-negotiable force. "Sunday, 3 p.m., barbecue. Your dad and mom don't have to come. You have to be here." And so, I would go. I would drive the 90 minutes up I-94, and the tension would just peel off me in layers with every mile marker. Their house is a small, cluttered brick ranch, with a yard that is always in a state of chaos. Leo, who is 6, usually has some elaborate bike ramp or chalk city sprawling across the driveway. The scene was always the same, and it was the most comforting thing I knew. The smell of charcoal and wood smoke hitting me the second I got out of the car. Rob would be on the back patio, wearing a faded Green Bay Packers apron, a pair of long metal tongs in one hand. He would not just wave, he would stop what he was doing, walk over, and give me a hug that threatened to crack a rib. "You made it," he would say, like I had just completed a treacherous mountain ascent. Marina would come out, wiping her hands on a dish towel, and kiss my cheek. "Brianna, hi. Potato salad's on the counter. Don't let Rob tell you the ribs are done. They need another 20 minutes. Leo would abandon his bike, sprinting over to attach himself to my leg. Brianna, look, I drew a dragon, and he's fighting a robot." It was simple, it was messy, it was real, and there was always a chair for me at their patio table, slotted right between Rob and Leo, as if it had been waiting for me all week. I remember the first time I drove up alone. I think I was 19. I was nervous, still programmed to feel like an inconvenience. I stood awkwardly by the grill, hands in my pockets. Rob just grunted, grabbed a clean apron from a hook, and tossed it at me. "You're not a guest, Brianna. You're family. Grab the sauce and pay attention. You're flipping the steaks." He spent the next 10 minutes showing me how to press the meat for doneness, how to get the perfect crosshatch grill marks. He did not talk down to me. He just taught me. When we sat down to eat, he raised his beer bottle. "To Brianna," he announced, "who finally escaped the asylum." "Rob," Marina warned, amused. "What? It's true," he said, looking at me. "Listen, I don't care what's going on down in Chicago. You need a place. You come here. This house has a magic, expanding foundation. There's always extra room here, especially for you. Got it?" I got it. I almost cried into my potato salad. Marina's brand of care was quieter, just as deep. She was the one who, when I called late one night, stuck in a snowstorm on my way back to college, said, "Don't be an idiot. Get off the highway at the next exit and come here." When I showed up, soaked and shaking, she did not complain about the late hour. She did not lecture me about the weather. She just had the pull-out couch in the living room already made up, not with the old, scratchy guest sheets, but with the good flannel ones, and a heavy-down comforter. There was a pair of thick, fuzzy wool socks folded on the pillow. "The bathroom's yours," she said, rubbing my shoulder. "There's tea on the stove. We'll see you in the morning." I slept better on that lumpy couch, in a living room that smelled like cinnamon and Leo's crayons, than I ever had in my own childhood bed. No one ever complained that I was in the way or taking up space. Leo treated me with a kind of unfiltered, straightforward adoration that I had never experienced. To him, I was not the responsible one or the dramatic one. I was just his cool cousin Brianna. He would hoard his school art projects to show me when I visited. He would drag me by the hand to his room to help him build a Lego spaceship, which really meant he wanted me to sit and watch him build, providing the specific pieces he demanded. It was a relationship built on pure trust. He was not using me. He was not asking me to sacrifice anything for him. He just wanted my time, and I had never felt so valued. This was the family that showed up. When I graduated from college, it was a big deal for me. I was the first person in our immediate family to get a design degree, and I had graduated with honors. I sent the invitation to my parents and to Rob and Marina. My mother called. "Honey, that's wonderful. We're so proud. The thing is, your father and we booked this trip to Cabo San Lucas. It's our 20th anniversary. We booked it months ago. It completely slipped my mind that it was the same weekend as graduation. You know how it is. We'll be thinking of you." Ethan, of course, went with them. I told them it was fine. I told them I understood. I put on the cap and gown, and I walked across that stage, and I scanned the massive crowd of cheering, weeping, sign-holding families, knowing mine was not there. And then, as I was walking off the stage, I heard it, a single, booming voice from the back of the auditorium. "That's my niece, That's her, Brianna West. I turned. There he was, Uncle Rob, standing on his chair, waving my graduation program. He had driven 3 hours that morning, by himself. Marina and Leo were sick with the flu. But he had come. He was wearing a wrinkled suit jacket over a polo shirt, and he was beaming. He took me out to a greasy 24-hour diner afterward. We sat in a cracked vinyl booth at 2 in the afternoon, and I ate a stack of pancakes while he drank black coffee. He reached across the table and put his hand over mine. His hands were rough, calloused from his construction job. "I know they're not here, B," he said, his voice quiet, serious. "And it's garbage. It is absolute, 100% garbage." I just nodded, my throat tight. "But I want you to listen to me," he said, leaning in. "That piece of paper? You did that. That cap? You earned it. You don't need your name in anyone's family album to prove your worth. You don't need anyone's permission to be proud of yourself. You built this, all of it." Those words became my shield. Over the years, Rob and Marina created a new tradition for me. Second Christmas. Since I was always alone on the 25th, I would drive up to Milwaukee on the 26th or 27th. They would save a small pile of gifts for me. They never gave me gift cards. The presents were small, but they were right. A set of Japanese drawing pens I had mentioned months ago, a beautiful hardcover book on Bauhaus design, a hand-knitted scarf from Marina. They were paying attention. I slowly began to understand the feeling of being wanted, of knowing there was a chair at a table with my name on it, was more healing, more powerful than any hollow apology my mother could ever offer. The simple act of Marina making up the couch, of Rob saving me the last rib, of Leo showing me his drawing, that was family. It was not a performance, it was just love. One evening, Rob and I were sitting on the patio, long after Marina and Leo had gone to bed. He was telling me about his own childhood, about how he was always the emotional kid, the screw-up, while my father was the golden boy athlete. "Your grandparents, they're good people, but they only knew one way to value a kid," he said, staring into the dark yard. And I wasn't it. I was the passed-over kid for a long time. I know what that chair feels like. B. The one that's always empty. He looked at me. "You can spend your whole life begging for a seat at a table that was never set for you, or you can get up, walk away, and build your own damn table. Marina, Leo, this is the table I built." He was giving me permission. He was showing me the way out. Just a few weeks ago, in early November, I was in their kitchen. The chill of the impending winter was in the air. Marina was making soup. Rob was complaining about a client. Leo was at a friend's house. It was quiet. Marina poured me a glass of red wine, the cheap, hearty kind they always bought by the box. She leaned against the counter, her expression warm, knowing. She always seemed to know what was going on without me having to say a word. "So, Brianna," she said, her voice gentle, "have you given any thought to Christmas this year? Do you have any plans?" The question hung in the warm, savory air of her kitchen. Do you have any plans? Not, what are they doing? Not, are you going home? Do you have plans? I looked into my wine glass. No, I said, and the admission felt heavy. No, I don't, I'm still waiting to hear what the plan is. Marina just nodded slowly, her eyes holding mine. She did not offer pity. She did not badmouth my parents. She just said, "Well, just so you know, the couch is always ready. You don't have to wait for anyone's invitation to come here. You just come." That was the conversation I was replaying in my head when Ethan's no-room text arrived. Marina's offer was the safety net I was dangling over, and Ethan's message was the blade that cut the rope. I stared at the Book Now button. The price was glowing on the screen, a number that was offensively high. It was a last-minute, holiday week, luxury escape price. A few weeks ago, I would have closed the tab with a long, weary sigh. I would have accepted my fate as the one left behind, ordered a sad, expensive takeout meal, and tried to forget. But as I sat there, on the cold floor of my kitchen. I did not close the tab, because I could do it. I could actually, finally, do it. The universe, in its most profound and biting irony, had just handed me the keys. It happened 2 days ago, just before the pre-holiday exodus at Northline Studio. My boss, David, had called me into his glass-walled office, the one that overlooked the Chicago River. I sat down, my mind instantly cycling through the final bug reports for the banking app. Is there a problem with the new release? David laughed, a real genuine laugh. A problem? Brianna, sit down, please. He waited until I was settled, then leaned forward, lacing his fingers together on his desk. The client, he said. The big banking app? They are, and I am quoting their email. Blown away. The initial user feedback from the soft launch is over 90% positive. They're using words like intuitive and effortless. A small professional smile touched my lips. That's fantastic news, David. It's more than fantastic, he said, his expression turning serious. That project, your project, just secured our retainer for the next 2 years. The partners are thrilled, and they know, and I know, that you were the one who architected that entire user flow from scratch. He slid a long, crisp envelope across the polished desk. This is your end-of-year bonus, Brianna. It's substantial. We wanted to make sure you knew how much we value your contribution. My fingers felt numb as I opened the unsealed flap. I pulled out the check. I read the name of the bank, I read my name, and then I read the number. $18,000. My breath just stopped. I could not speak. I looked up at him, my eyes wide. David, this is incredibly generous. I don't know what to say. You earned every single cent, he said, his voice sincere and warm. You have an incredible, almost uncanny talent for anticipating people's needs. You are relentless about thinking through the user experience. You design systems that make sure no one, not the tech-savvy kid or the 80-year-old grandmother, feels lost or left behind. We are extremely lucky to have you. Go, have an amazing holiday. You deserve it more than anyone I know. You make sure no one feels left behind. The words followed me out of his office, echoing in my head as I walked back to my desk. Brianna West, the professional architect of inclusion, the one who spent 10-hour days and countless sleepless nights mapping out empathetic digital pathways, all to ensure a total stranger could seamlessly pay their mortgage on a tiny screen. I did this for a living, and my own family, the people who were supposed to be my default, my foundation, could not design a simple Christmas trip that included me. The irony was so thick I felt like I could choke on it. The rest of the team was buzzing, packing up their desks, a tangible current of holiday excitement in the air. My flight is at 6 a.m. tomorrow, Sarah from Analytics was saying, pulling on her coat. I cannot wait to see my nephews. My mom is making the full Christmas Eve 7 fishes dinner. We're driving to Iowa, another designer chimed in. We packed the car last night. It's going to be 12 hours of chaos with the kids, but I can't wait. I sat down at my desk, the $18,000 check feeling like a lead weight in my bag. They were all booking flights home. They were reserving rental cars. They were coordinating with siblings about who was bringing the mashed potatoes. I was the one sitting there, staring at a blank calendar, waiting for a text message that, when it finally arrived, would tell me I was not wanted. And now, here I was, back on my kitchen floor. The no-room text message was a poison dart. The All My Favorite People Facebook post was the proof that the poison was real. But I had $18,000 in my checking account. It was not just money. It was not just a bonus. It was a choice. It was a key. It was enough. It was enough for a trip where I was not the afterthought, not the tag-along, not the logistics problem. It was enough for a trip where I was the entire point. I looked at the ad again, the one I had found in my desperate, numb scrolling. The Northern Lights Express, a Christmas Eve departure, a sleeper train cutting through the darkest part of the country, heading to a place I had never heard of, Silver Ridge, Montana. I knew, instantly, that my family had never heard of it. They preferred the effortless warmth of Florida, the crowded, expensive slopes of Colorado, the buzz of a big city. They did not do remote. They did not do quiet. They did not do cold, unless it came with a luxury ski lift and a fireplace bar. This place was mine. The package was all-inclusive, a private sleeper cabin on the train for the overnight journey, 3 nights in a solitude cabin at the Silver Ridge Lodge, a guided, gentle cross-country ski tour, a night sky aurora, viewing on a remote mountaintop, complete with transport and hot beverages. It sounded harsh. The description warned of unpredictable weather and sub-zero temperatures, but it also said, in clear, bold type, all tours are led by professional guides. Your safety and comfort are our top priorities. Your comfort is our top priority. My finger, the one hovering over the mouse, faltered. A lifetime of programming screamed at me. Selfish, extravagant, reckless. My entire life, I had been the designated placeholder. I was the one who stayed home from the state fair to let the plumber in. I was the one who dog-sat Buster while they went to the beach. I was the one who collected the mail, who watered the plants, who kept the home base secure so everyone else could have an adventure. I was the responsible one, the stable ground they all launched from. I was born to fill the gaps, not to take up space. What kind of person books a luxury mountain cabin just for themselves? What kind of person spends this much money on solitude? My mother's voice was a phantom whisper in my ear. Oh, Brianna, that's so wasteful. Think of what you could have saved. It's just so selfish. Selfish, the word they deployed like a tactical weapon. Anytime my needs conflicted with Ethan's wants. I looked at my phone, dark on the counter. No drama allowed this year. I looked at the image of their cozy cabin, at the empty leather armchair by the fire, the one with my blanket on it. I was going to do the opposite. I was not just going to take up space, I was going to book a space that only I could fill. A cabin built for one, no pull-out sofa, no, we'll just squeeze you in, no option for a +1, no empty, passive-aggressive chair waiting for someone who was not me. My finger moved. It clicked book now. The payment portal loaded. My heart was a frantic drum against my ribs. I typed in my card number. I clicked confirm purchase. It was done. A confirmation screen appeared. Congratulations. Brianna, your journey to Silver Ridge begins tomorrow. A wave of pure, cold panic washed all over me, immediately followed by a tidal wave of giddy, hysterical adrenaline. I felt like I had just pulled the pin on a grenade. It was the most terrifying and the most wonderful feeling I had ever had. My hands were shaking again, but this time, it was not from hurt. It was from power. I needed to tell someone, not my parents, not my brother, one person. I dialed Rob's number. He picked up on the second ring, as he always did. Hey, B, what's up? Hey, Uncle Rob? My voice was shaky, high-pitched. I'm not going to be in Chicago for Christmas. Oh? I could hear the smile in his voice. Good. You coming up here to see us? No, actually, I said, taking a deep breath. I just did something. I just booked a trip, by myself, to Montana, on a train, tomorrow. It sounded completely insane, saying it out loud. There was a pause on the line, just long enough for me to brace for the "Are you crazy?" or "Is everything okay, honey?" Montana, he said, and his voice was full of deep, warm approval. Hell yes. Brianna, good for you. Going off the grid, huh? Yeah, something like that. The relief was so sudden I had to sit down. I need to get away. I'm going to turn off my social media, my phone, everything, for a few days. Just reset. I get it, he said, and the simple, profound beauty was that he did. That sounds like exactly what the doctor ordered. You listen to me. You have a fantastic time. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't owe them a single word. I know. I wanted one person to know where I was, just in case. Smart, he said. Of course. Forward me the itinerary, the train info, the lodge name, all of it. I'll be your mission control back home. You just go and have the time of your life, and send me a picture of a moose, or a bear, or whatever the hell they have out there. I laughed, a real shaky, watery laugh. I will. Thank you, Uncle Rob. Anytime, kiddo. Talk to you when you're back. I hung up, feeling 100 pounds lighter. He did not pry. He did not judge. He just supported. My train left tomorrow, Christmas Eve. I had less than 24 hours to pack for a trip to the Arctic. First, I wrote a quick, honest email to my boss, David. Subject: Out of office, Christmas break. Hi, David. Thank you again for the incredible bonus. I've decided to put it to immediate use and take a last-minute trip over the holiday. I'll be on a train and then in a very remote area in Montana with limited to no service. I need a complete digital detox and a real non-family vacation. I'll be fully offline until I return next week. Happy holidays to you and your family. His reply came back in less than 5 minutes. Subject: Out of office. Good. You deserve it more than anyone. Do not check your email once. Do not even think about work. See you in the new year. Next, the gear, my mission. I grabbed my bag and headed out. It was almost 10 p.m., but the stores on Michigan Avenue were a sea of desperate, last-minute shoppers. I was not one of them. I was a woman with a plan. This was not a browse. This was a heist. I walked past the glittering party dresses in the windows, past the jewelry counters. I went straight to the outdoor adventure store. I bought a new suitcase, a hard shell, 4-wheeled spinner in a bright, defiant, unapologetic red. I went to the winter gear section. I bought a real snow jacket, the kind rated for 20 below zero, a deep Arctic blue one with a hood rimmed in faux fur. I bought thermal underwear. I bought 3 pairs of thick, moisture-wicking wool socks. I bought waterproof, insulated boots. I bought heavy-duty ski gloves and a soft, fleece-lined hat that covered my ears. I paid for it all without looking at the total. I was not buying these things to look cute in a family photo by a ski lodge sign. I was not buying them to impress anyone. I was buying them as armor. I was buying them to prepare for a journey where I was the only one responsible for my own warmth, my own safety. I was not Plan B. I was Plan A. I got home after midnight, my arms full of crackling bags. I laid everything out on my bed. It looked like the gear for an Antarctic expedition. Before I started packing, I walked over to my tiny, 3-foot-tall tree in the living room. It was bare, except for the single string of white lights I had managed to put on it last week. I had not had the heart to decorate it. I found a box of old greeting cards. I pulled one out, a simple, elegant one, with a blank inside. I took a black Sharpie from my desk drawer. I wrote 2 words on it, in big clear letters. Reserved for Brianna. I punched a hole in the top corner, threaded a piece of ribbon through it, and hung it on the very top branch, right in the center, my own, personal, non-negotiable seat. I stood back and looked at it, my tiny, defiant, perfect tree. Finally, I picked up my phone. I went into my settings. I systematically logged out of Facebook. I logged out of Instagram. I deleted the apps from my home screen. Then, I went to my Do Not Disturb settings. I tapped the switch, turning it on. I set it to silence everyone. Then, I scrolled down to the exceptions. Allow calls from, I tapped it. I added one single, solitary contact to the allowed list. Uncle Rob. My mother, my father, my brother, their frantic texts, their confused calls, their inevitable, panicked, "Wait, where are you? We were just kidding." Messages would all go straight into the digital void. For the next 5 days, they would have no access to me. I was choosing, finally, after 28 years, I was choosing who was allowed to have a place in my life. I plugged my phone into charge, set my alarm for the train, and for the first time in as long as I could remember, I went to bed on the night before a holiday and felt completely, totally, and absolutely calm. I had a ticket. I had a plan. and I was the only person who mattered. The morning of my departure, the sky over Chicago is a flat, metallic gray. Union Station is bustling, a cathedral of frantic energy and holiday reunions. I am an island of calm in my new blue parka. Pulling my new red suitcase, I am invisible, and for the first time, I love the feeling. I am not Brianna West, the daughter, the sister. I am just passenger. Car 21B. I find my sleeper cabin. It is tiny, perfect, and clean. A single seat facing a wide, clean window, a small table, a neatly folded cot for later. It is a space designed, unambiguously, for one person. I settle in, placing my phone face down on the small table. I pull out a paperback I've been meaning to read for 6 months. The train gives a long, low horn blast, a heavy lurch, and then a smooth, rolling glide. We are moving. I am leaving. I look out the window as the Chicago suburbs blur into frozen, snow-dusted fields. I do not look at my phone. I feel nothing but the quiet, humming vibration of the train beneath my feet. At that exact moment, somewhere on a highway heading west toward Utah, my brother Ethan is performing. He has his phone up, filming himself, grinning into the camera. He is in the passenger seat of their rented minivan, a massive, obnoxious Escalade. "What's up? TikTok?" he yells over the sound of the road. "It is Christmas trip time. We are heading to the slopes." He flips the camera. "Say hi, fam." My mother, in the back seat, gives a tight, "Hi, sweetie," wave. My father, who is driving, just grunts. Beside my mother is Sophie, Ethan's girlfriend, who blows a kiss at the camera. "The crew is all here," Ethan narrates, flipping the camera back to his own smug face. "And the best part," he pauses for dramatic effect, "is that we are having a 100% guaranteed good vibes only trip this year." He holds the phone up higher, and in his carelessness, trying to find the perfect angle, his thumb swipes right, momentarily bringing his phone's home screen into view. The camera focuses on his face, but for half a second, the screen is visible, just long enough to see the lock screen notifications he has not cleared. There, at the top, is the text conversation with me, my single cool, and right above it, his own words, clearly visible in the preview. "No room for you on the Christmas." He does not notice. He finds his angle, grins, and continues. "That's right. No drama, no negative energy, just the slopes." He pans the camera to Sophie in the back. "Right, Soph?" Sophie, ever the performer, leans forward between the seats, her hair perfectly curled. "Absolutely," she giggles. "We finally have space for all the actual gifts instead." My father chuckles. Ethan howls with laughter. "Savage. Oh my God." He adds the video to his timeline. He chooses a trending song, something loud and obnoxious. He adds a caption. "Family trip, no drama passengers this year." He pairs it with a sunglasses emoji and a van emoji. He hits post. He thinks he is hilarious. He thinks he is a star. He leans back, puts his feet up on the dash, and waits for the likes to roll in. I, in the meantime, have ordered a coffee from the dining car. I am watching the Mississippi River slide by. A vast sheet of ice, beautiful and cold. I am completely, blissfully unaware. The TikTok, for the first hour, does exactly what Ethan wants. It gets a few hundred views, mostly from his college friends. Sick. Shred it, bro. Have fun. Then, at 11:27 a.m., a 23-year-old paralegal in New Jersey, scrolling TikTok on her lunch break, sees it. Her name is irrelevant. She is just a random user, but she is sharp, and she is bored. She watches the video. The no drama caption catches her eye. She thinks Ethan seems arrogant. She watches it again, this time looking closer. She sees the swipe, the flash of the home screen. She pauses the video, she rewinds, plays it at quarter speed, and pauses again. She screenshots it. She zooms in. There it is, blurry but undeniable. "No room for you on the Christmas," She opens the TikTok stitch feature. A new video appears. Her own face, quiet, looking at the camera, overlaid with text. She splices in Ethan's video, but just the key. Half-second moment, slowed down and circled in red. She adds her own quiet caption on top of the video. Imagine telling your own sister there's no room for her at Christmas, and then posting this. She hits post. Her video, unlike Ethan's, does not get a few hundred views. In the first 10 minutes, it gets 10,000. In the first 30 minutes, it gets 50,000. By the time I'm finishing my coffee and settling back in with my book, her stitch has 500,000 views, and the internet is sharpening its knives. The comments on her video are a wildfire. Wait, he has his girlfriend, but no room for his sister? I found his profile. His sister's name is Brianna. I just looked her up. She's not in a single one of their family Christmas photos for the last 5 years. That's not a joke. That's abuse. The girlfriend. Space for gifts instead. The mom laughing. This is the coldest family in America. The caption, no drama, is him calling his sister drama for wanting to see her family at Christmas. This guy is a walking red flag. In the rented Escalade, now pulling into the pristine, snow-covered driveway of the Utah ski resort, Ethan is giddy. Dude, Sophie, check it out, he says, pulling his suitcase from the trunk. My video is blowing up. It's got, almost 1 million views or something. Shut up. Really? Sophie says, pulling out her own phone. Ethan opens the app. He sees the view count, and then he sees the comments. He scrolls. His smile freezes, then melts. What? What is this? He mutters. He scrolls faster. The comments are flooding in, not just on the stitch, but on his original video, thousands of them. Psychopath. Trash. I hope your sister finds a new family. You absolute monster. This is evil. He feels a hot flush of defensive anger. This is his vacation. They are ruining it. He types a comment back on his own video, trying to be cool, trying to control it. Internet can't take a joke. He adds the crying laughing emoji. The reply to his comment is instantaneous and massive. A joke? Telling your sister she's not wanted? You're disgusting. It's not a joke. It's a pattern. We've seen your mom's Facebook. You're monsters. His phone starts buzzing, a frantic, vibrating panic. It is his mother, Linda, calling him from the lodge's check-in desk, 10 feet away. He looks up. She is staring at her own phone, her face sheet white. She is not looking at TikTok. She is looking at her Facebook post from the other night, the one of them in the Colorado cabin, with the "All My Favorite People" caption. The new comments, the ones that have appeared in the last hour, are not the fawning praise from her friends. They are from strangers, hundreds of them. Bad mom vibes. Where is your daughter, Linda? Was there no room for her in this picture, either? This caption is heartbreaking when you know she left her other child at home. Shame on you. All my favorite people, except the one you abandoned. You must be so proud. My father, Mark, sees the look on his wife's face and steps over. Linda, what's wrong? What is it? They're attacking me, she whispers, her hand shaking. Mark, they're calling me a bad mother. Look at this. He looks. His face darkens instantly. He is not thinking about me. He is not thinking about my mother's feelings. He is thinking about his partners at the law firm. He is thinking about his reputation. He pulls out his phone and opens the new cabin crew group chat. What the hell did you post? Ethan? He types, his thumbs jabbing the screen. Who leaked that chat about your sister? Ethan, sweating now, types back furiously. I did not leak it. It was a 1-second flash in my video. I don't know how they even saw it. It's these creepy internet people. Dad, it's not my fault. Sophie, seeing the absolute disaster unfolding, decides to fix it. This is her area of expertise. She is an influencer, or trying to be. She understands branding. She opens her Instagram. She posts a new story. It is a plain pastel pink background with white text in a soft, handwritten font. People are just way too sensitive. You don't know the whole story. Every family has complicated dynamics. Please respect our privacy. It takes less than 4 minutes for her story to be screenshotted and posted on TikTok. The girlfriend weighs in. The new video is captioned. Apparently, the complicated dynamic is that they all hate the sister. The backlash triples. On the Northern Lights Express, I am blissfully unaware. The train is pulling through the plains of North Dakota, the world outside a vast, unending expanse of white. The gentle rocking has made me drowsy. My book is resting on my chest. The train enters a tunnel, or perhaps just a dead zone. The weak shared Wi-Fi I had been passively connected to sputters. My phone, on the table, lights up. The Do Not Disturb is on. But I had not blocked everyone. I had not blocked my colleagues. As the signal fights for its last breath, a string of notifications, delayed for hours, pushes through all at once, a rapid-fire cascade of lock-screen banners. From Sarah, at Northline. Brianna, oh my God, are you okay? I saw your brother's video. Please tell me you're safe. From David, my boss. Are you all right? Just checking in? From an old college friend. B, what is going on with your family? Everyone is tagging me in this insane TikTok. From another colleague. Are you okay? From another. Are you okay? I sit up, my heart suddenly pounding. I stare, confused, at the cascade of, are you okay? My fingers are just reaching for the phone, my mind scrambling to understand. What video? And then, just as my hand touches the cold glass, the last cell bar vanishes. The small LTE icon disappears. The Wi-Fi symbol is gone. A single elegant message appears at the top of the screen. No service. I stare at it. The messages are there, trapped behind the glass. But I cannot open them. I cannot reply. I have no signal. I am alone, in a metal tube, hurtling through a frozen wasteland, completely cut off. Outside my window, the snow has begun to fall, thick and heavy. In the luxury lodge in Utah, my father is on the phone with his brother, my Uncle Rob. My mother is crying, not for me, but for her Facebook page. And my brother, Ethan, is sitting on the edge of a king-sized bed, his face in his hands, watching his phone vibrate itself to death, as comment after comment after comment buries him alive. I stared at the no service message on my phone screen, the phantom banners of the texts I had glimpsed, the frantic, "Are you okay?" messages from my colleagues, were trapped behind that impassive notification. My first instinct was a jolt of pure, 21st century panic. What video? What's wrong? I tapped the screen uselessly, then held the phone up to the window, as if I could physically catch a stray signal from the frozen, empty expanse of North Dakota. Nothing. And then, just as quickly as the panic came, it evaporated. It was replaced by something else, a profound, almost bizarre, sense of calm. Whatever it was, I could not fix it. Whatever was happening back in the digital world, I was completely, utterly, and physically unable to respond. I was not responsible for their panic. I was not on call to manage their feelings. I was on a train, and my only job was to look out the window. So I did. The train pushed west, deeper into the mountains of Montana. The sky, which had been a clear, cold blue, began to thicken. The light turned a flat, heavy gray. The snow started not as a gentle dusting, but as a sudden horizontal assault against the glass. The wind howled, a low, deep sound I could feel through the rattling window frame. This was not a picturesque holiday snow. This was a storm. A crackle came over the intercom, followed by the conductor's voice, strained but steady. "Folks, apologies for the bumpy ride. We seem to have hit that weather system a little earlier than predicted. We are experiencing some significant delays. We'll keep you updated." A murmur went through the car. I saw other passengers looking up from books, glancing at each other, but no one seemed panicked. We were in a 300-ton steel tube. We were, for the moment, safe. I watched the world dissolve into a curtain of white. I could not see the mountains anymore. I could not see the ground. It was just a swirling, violent void, and I felt peaceful. For the first Christmas in 12 years, I was not going to be sitting in my apartment, watching my phone, scrolling through images of my family having the time of their lives without me. I was not going to be staring at a photo of their fireplace, their matching pajamas, their perfectly arranged happiness. I was here. I was having my own adventure. It was cold and it was stark, and it was turning into a logistical nightmare. But it was mine. I pulled the leather-bound journal I had bought at the airport out of my bag. I uncapped my pen. I wrote one sentence on the clean, cream-colored page. This is the first Christmas where the empty seat is theirs, not mine. I stared at the words. It was true. They were the ones who would be wondering where I was, what I was doing. For the first time, I was not the one left behind. I was the one who had left. We rode like that for another 2 hours, the train crawling at a snail's pace, the world outside an impenetrable wall of white. Finally, with a long, groaning screech of metal, we stopped. The silence, after the constant howl of the wind and the rhythm of the tracks, was sudden and heavy. The intercom crackled again. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your conductor. Unfortunately, the tracks ahead are completely covered. The local authorities in—" He paused, as if to check a map. "Glacier Point have advised us that the pass is closed indefinitely. We are not going forward to Silver Ridge tonight." A collective groan. "We are arranging accommodations for all passengers at the local hotel in Glacier Point. We will be disembarking shortly. Please gather your essential overnight belongings." Glacier Point was not a town. It was a suggestion, a main street with 5 buildings, buried in 4 feet of snow, illuminated by the train's massive headlight. We were herded off the warm train and into the blizzard, a long, miserable line of travelers dragging suitcases through the drifts. We were led into the lobby of the Pioneer Inn. It was exactly what you would expect. A lot of dark wood, a giant moose head on the wall, and a roaring fire in a stone fireplace. It was also, immediately, chaotic, as the entire train tried to check in. I found a quiet armchair in a corner of the lobby, away from the frantic check-in desk. I pulled out my phone, more out of habit than hope. For one glorious, flickering second, 4 bars of Wi-Fi appeared, the hotel's Pioneer Inn guest network. My phone exploded. It was a barrage, an assault of notifications, all trying to push through the tiny, overburdened signal at once. Texts, voicemails, emails. I saw my mother's name, my father's, Ethan's, dozens of them. And then, a single text from Rob, the only one my phone allowed to make a sound. "B, the family is losing its mind. Are you okay? The news is saying you're missing." The news? Before I could even process the word, the Wi-Fi signal died. It vanished, replaced by the no service I was starting to despise. My fingers flew. I did not try to text my parents. I did not try to understand the news. I had one priority. I tapped out a message to Rob, my thumbs clumsy with cold and panic. "Train stuck in the storm, but I'm okay, at a hotel." I held my breath, staring at the screen. The small delivering message hung there. I stood up, holding my phone high, walking toward the window. It changed. Delivered. And then, no service returned. The connection was gone. It was enough. He would know. What I did not know, what I could not possibly comprehend, was what was happening on the other side of that no-service barrier. While I was on the train, watching the snow, the digital detective who had stitched Ethan's video had kept digging. She, or someone like her, had found my dormant Instagram account. She found the account Brianna West UX, the one I used for work. She found the one Ethan followed. A new video dropped. This time, it was a screen recording. Ethan's following list. The name Brianna West, clearly visible. Then, a tap over to my profile. My last post was a picture of my desk at Northline. From 3 weeks ago. My profile picture was a professional headshot. Then, a screenshot of a public database. Brianna West, 28, Chicago, IL. The caption on this new video was devastatingly simple. This is her. She hasn't posted in weeks. She's not on the trip. Her phone is going straight to voicemail. She's vanished. The story had a face now. It had a name. It was not an abstract sister. It was me. The narrative jumped from TikTok to Reddit. A new thread appeared on the r True Crime Discussion Forum, of all places, and it was exploding. The title was, OP's brother goes on no drama Christmas trip. Sister is now officially missing. The post synthesized everything. The text message, the space for gifts comment, my name, my profession, my location, the fact that I was offline. And then, the comment that added the gasoline. It was from a user I did not recognize, someone with a generic handle. I went to high school with Brianna. This is just heartbreaking. She was always the quiet, responsible one. She was so sweet. Her family, especially her brother, always treated her like she was extra. I can't believe this. Whether it was true or not, whether I even knew this person, was irrelevant. The narrative was set in stone. I was not just the sister, I was the victim, the quiet, responsible, sweet, discarded daughter. And my family? They were the villains. In Utah, my mother, Linda, was no longer angry about her Facebook comments. She was in a full-blown, gut-wrenching panic. She had been calling my phone every 10 minutes for the past 6 hours. Every single call went straight to voicemail, a feature I had activated to preserve my sanity, not knowing it would become evidence of my disappearance. She was in the lodge, pacing, her face pale. She was messaging Rob, her brother-in-law, the only one she suspected might know something. Linda, Rob, answer me. Where is she? Ethan's video. People are saying she's missing. I can't reach her. Is she alive? Oh my God. Rob, is she alive? Mark, Rob, this is Mark. This has gone too far. If you know where Brianna is, you need to tell us. Now. Her phone is off. This isn't funny. My Uncle Rob, back in his quiet house in Milwaukee, looked at his phone. He saw their frantic, self-serving panic, and then he saw my single, clear message. Train stuck in the storm, but I'm okay, at a hotel. He took a deep breath. He typed back to Linda. She is on a vacation. She sent me her itinerary. Like a responsible adult. She is fine. She just needed a break from all of you. She's stuck in the snowstorm out west. But she's safe. Stop making this about you. But his message did not calm them. It inflamed them. Stuck in a snowstorm. Ethan, in the next room, was not thinking about me being stuck in a snowstorm. He was thinking about his career. The comments on his TikTok had escalated from, "You're a bad brother," to something far more organized. People had found his LinkedIn. They were tagging his company, a mid-level tech firm in Chicago. Hey at company, is this no-drama employee the kind of person you want representing your brand? I'd never hire a company that employs people who treat their family like this. Ethan was terrified. He was not afraid for me. He was afraid for his job. The panic in the Utah lodge was now thick enough to cut, and it was about to break containment. A local TV news station in Chicago, slow on holiday news, but quick to pick up a viral human interest story, ran a 30-second segment. They did not have my photo. They did not have my family's. They used generic B-roll, a shot of a TikTok logo on a phone, stock footage of a train moving through a blizzard. The anchor, a woman with a serious expression, read the teleprompter. A holiday family dispute on social media has turned into a real-life scare tonight. Thousands of users online are expressing concern for a Chicago woman, identified as Brianna West, who has not been heard from in over 24 hours after an alleged family conflict. Her last known location is believed to be somewhere in the path of the massive snowstorm currently hitting the Rocky Mountains. Friends and family are reportedly unable to reach her. And in the warm, wood-paneled lobby of the Pioneer Inn in Glacier Point, Montana, I was completely oblivious. My phone was dead. I had found a charger. but the outlet was on the other side of the room. I had decided to let it charge. I did not need it. I was sitting by the fireplace, a steaming mug of hot cocoa in my hands, the kind with the tiny marshmallows. An elderly woman, who had introduced herself as Margaret, was sitting across from me. She was on a solo trip to visit her grandchildren, and she was telling me a long, wonderful story about her first job in the 1960s. I was listening, I was smiling, I was, for the first time in my adult life, exactly where I was supposed to be. I was warm, I was safe, and I was, for one perfect, fleeting moment, completely and totally offline. While I was sitting by the fire in the Pioneer Inn, learning about Margaret's first job in 1965, a storm of a different kind was making landfall. It was happening in Utah, in Milwaukee, and on every glowing screen connected to my family. I would not know the full extent of it for days, but I pieced it together later. It came from forwarded email chains, tearful voicemails, and most clearly, from my Uncle Rob's grim, satisfied retelling of the night my family tried, and failed, to control the story. The chaos apparently began just after midnight, Mountain Time. My mother, Linda, having received no reply to her texts and seeing the local news segment, finally called Uncle Rob. It was well past 2 a.m. in Milwaukee. He told me he let it ring, just for a moment. Before picking up, he heard my mother's voice, high-pitched and thin, crackling with a panic that was not, at its core, for my safety. "Rob? Rob? Are you sure?" She was apparently sobbing. "Are you sure she's just stuck? Because the news is saying missing. They're using the word missing." "Linda, it's 2 a.m, he said, his voice a low gravel. "I don't care what time it is. They're destroying us. The comments. Mark's colleagues are seeing it. If something happens to her out there." "And here," Rob said. Her voice dropped to a terrified whisper. "If she's in a ditch, or frozen, Rob, everyone is going to think it's my fault." There it was. Not, "Is my daughter okay?" but, "Will they blame me?" Rob told me he just held the phone away from his ear for a second. He knew, in that moment, exactly what this was about. My father, Mark, got on the extension. His panic was different. Logistical, furious. "This has gone too far," he barked. "We have to put out a statement. We need to explain. Linda, we have to post something." "Post what?" she cried. "We just say we love her," Mark said, pacing, his voice audible in the background. "We say we always love her, but she's chosen to be distant. She's always been sensitive." This, apparently, is when Ethan decided to help. While my parents were arguing, my brother, the public relations genius who started this whole avalanche, drafted a statement. He wrote it in the Notes app on his phone, took a screenshot, and texted it to my mother. It was his masterpiece of spin, the definitive, "It's not my fault, it's hers" defense. He wrote, "We are all desperately worried about my sister, Brianna. We love her very much. Unfortunately, for years, she has struggled with issues that make holidays difficult. She often plays the victim and has a hard time seeing how much we love her. This trip was another example of her choosing to isolate herself, and this sudden disappearance is, while terrifying, part of a pattern of behavior. Please pray for her and for us as we try to find her." And then, my mother, in her tear-blinded, reputation-fueled hysteria, did the most perfectly Linda thing she could have done. She tried to forward Ethan's screenshot to my father, who was in the next room, but she was not looking closely. She was scrolling through her R contacts, and she sent it, without a second thought, to Rob West. Back in Milwaukee. Rob's phone lit up. He saw the screenshot. He read the words. "Plays the victim. Pattern of behavior. Choosing to isolate." Rob told me he just stared at it for a full minute. Then he told Marina, "They're doing it. They're really going to do it. They're going to paint her as crazy." He did not text back. He called my father's cell. My father, apparently, answered with a sharp, "What?" "Rob, As he relayed it to me, put the call on speakerphone so Marina could hear. His voice was no longer gravel, it was ice. "Mark," he said, "I just got a draft of your little press release." There was dead silence from the Utah lodge. He heard my mother gasp. "That was a mistake," my father said, his voice tight. "You're damn right it was," Rob snarled. "You are going to sit there, in your luxury ski lodge, the one you went to after you told your daughter there was no room for her, and you are going to post on the internet that she is the problem? That she plays the victim?" "You don't understand," my father blustered. "The reputation. People are attacking us." "Reputation?" Rob cut him off. "Let's talk about patterns. Mark, let's talk about the real pattern. How about the pattern of you and Linda going to enjoy a little private time in Cabo and leaving a 16-year-old Brianna with your parents? How about the Christmas you went to Vermont for Ethan and she was left home to watch the dog? You've been telling her no room for her entire life, and the first time she finally listens and gets out of your way, you're going to brand her as mentally unstable to save your own skin?" The line was silent. My mother was, apparently, sobbing openly. "Here's what's going to happen," Rob said, his voice dangerously quiet. "You are going to post nothing. You are not going to say one more word about her, because if I see one single post, one comment, one story that implies she is the drama, I'm going to make you a deal." "What deal?" Mark whispered. "I'm going to post my own album. I'm going to call it The Brianna-less Christmases, and I'm going to post every photo I have of her from the last 10 years. At my house for second Christmas, at her graduation, eating pancakes in a diner while you were in Cabo. I'll post the timestamps. I'll post the receipts. I will show the entire internet the real pattern, and we'll see whose reputation survives that. Are we clear?" As he was saying this, Rob told me. Marina walked over to him. She had her laptop open. She had been quiet, but she had been working. She turned the screen to him. She had created a folder on their shared drive. It was titled, simply, The Archive. Inside were subfolders. Christmas 2018, Vermont. Graduation 2019, Cabo. Thanksgiving 2021, Napa. Each one was filled with scanned photos, screenshots of my parents' old Facebook posts, bragging about their trips, and time-stamped texts from me. It was a perfect, curated, damning exhibit. Marina gave Rob a grim nod. Back in Utah, Ethan was apparently experiencing his own version of this. The online sleuths, having been given the narrative, were now digging for proof. They were doing exactly what Rob threatened. They were scrolling back years on my mother's Facebook and Ethan's Instagram. Wait, here's their 2019 Christmas trip. No Brianna. Here's 2018. No Brianna. I literally cannot find a single Christmas photo with her sister in it since she was, like, a teenager. Ethan's phone was buzzing with messages from his friends. "Dude, this looks really bad. Is it true you guys ditch your sister every year?" He was officially, totally, holed up in his room, terrified. The company that had been tagged in his posts had just sent him an email with the subject line, "Urgent, social media conduct." My mother, defeated by Rob and terrified by the internet, made her final, desperate, logistical move. "We have to call the police," she announced. "What?" Mark said. "Rob just told us she's safe." "I don't care. She's in a storm. She's missing. We need to have it on record that we tried to find her," Linda insisted. "We need a welfare check. We need an official report that says we were concerned." It was, Rob told me, a masterstroke of performative parenting. She was not calling 911 to find me. She was calling 911 to create a paper trail for her own defense. So, at 3 a.m, a very tired police officer from the Milwaukee PD called my Uncle Rob's phone. "Sir, this is Officer Miles. We've received a request from a Linda West in Utah for a wellness check on her daughter, Brianna West, believed to be at your residence." Rob, again, put the phone on speaker. "Officer, my niece is not here." "So you don't know her location?" "Sir, her mother is very concerned. She's filed a report." Oh, I know exactly where she is, Rob said, his voice perfectly calm and reasonable. And so does her mother. I just told her. Brianna is on a train in Montana. The train is stuck in a snowstorm, and she's safe in a hotel. I have a text from her confirming it. The officer was quiet for a beat. Sir, she's in a hotel in Montana, and her mother is filing a missing person report in Utah. To us, in Wisconsin? That's correct, officer, Rob said. This isn't a missing person case. This is a family dispute. My niece is taking a much-needed vacation from a family that told her there was no room for her at Christmas. Her mother is upset because it went viral on TikTok. You are being used as a prop in her damage control campaign. Rob said the officer let out a long, tired sigh. I see. Well, as long as you have direct confirmation she is safe, that's what we need. I'm going to note in the file that subject is safe, in contact with family, uncle, and this is a non-criminal family-related dispute. Have a good night, sir. The officer hung up. The official report was filed, but it was not the one my mother wanted. It was not a panicked mother report. It was a non-criminal dispute report, a TikTok drama report. Rob had, once again, outmaneuvered them. I learned all of this much later, but Rob told me that after he hung up with the police, he and Marina just sat in their kitchen in the pre-dawn quiet. The house was still. He poured them both a small glass of whiskey. He raised his glass. You know, he said to Marina, his voice rough with exhaustion and a strange, dark satisfaction. It finally happened. For the first time in her entire life, they are actually, genuinely terrified of what it means to not have her around. He took a drink. They're not scared for her. They're scared of her silence. It's about time. Maybe this is her chance to finally understand that she's the one who gets to choose who panics for her. He closed his laptop, the archive folder safe and secure. The ammunition had not been needed. The threat, it turned out, was enough. He had won, and I, asleep in a lumpy hotel bed in Glacier Point, had no idea that the entire war for my own narrative had just been fought and won on my behalf. The storm broke on the third day. It took another full day to clear the tracks. By the time the Northern Lights Express finally, groaning and weary, pulled into the station at Silver Ridge, I had been on the train for nearly 3 days. I had 2 nights left. I disembarked with the other passengers, a small bonded group of weary travelers. Silver Ridge was exactly as promised. Quiet, buried in snow, and beautiful. My solitude cabin was waiting. It was warm, it had a fireplace, and the view was of nothing but snow-covered pines for 100 miles. I did not turn on the news. I did not log into the Wi-Fi. I went on the gentle, guided cross-country ski tour. I drank hot cider. And on my last night, a guide took me and 3 other guests in a snowcat up the side of a mountain. We stood on the peak, under a sky so clear and cold it felt like glass. And then, it happened. A faint green ribbon appeared, wavering, as if the sky itself was breathing. It grew, it brightened, it split into curtains of pale green and violet that danced across the stars. The aurora borealis. It was silent, overwhelming, and impossibly, achingly beautiful. It was a private show, just for me and a few strangers, a secret the world was telling in a place my family would never, ever find. I felt small, but not in a bad way. I felt like a tiny, insignificant part of something enormous and beautiful. And I realized my family, with their matching pajamas and their country club friends and their petty, performative dramas, was even smaller. They were microscopic. They were nothing. The peace lasted all the way through the train ride back. I slept. I read my book. I watched the frozen country slide by, in reverse. We crossed the border from Wisconsin into Illinois, and the first cell towers of the Chicago suburbs began to ping. My phone, which had been resting peacefully, face down on the small table, woke up. It did not just buzz. It was a physical, violent, rattling convulsion on the tabletop, a sustained, frantic seizure of notifications that did not stop for 30 seconds. It was as if 3 days of the world's screaming panic had been held back by a dam, and it had just broken. A cascade of banners, hundreds of them, scrolled past on the lock screen, too fast to even read. Voicemails, text messages, emails, missed calls. My mother, my father, Ethan, my mother, my father, Ethan, again, mixed in with Sarah, David, Aunt Karen, old friends, and numbers I did not even recognize. My heart, which had been beating slow and steady for 3 days, kicked into a painful, frantic rhythm. The train pulled into Union Station. I did not go home. I walked with my new red suitcase into the station's great hall, found a small cafe, ordered a large black coffee, and sat down at a table in the corner. For 2 hours, I did nothing but read. I did not read the texts from my family. I deleted the hundreds of notifications without listening. I was not interested in their panic. I was interested in the story. I re-downloaded the apps. I opened TikTok. I opened a browser. I typed in my own name. It was all there. A perfect, horrifying, digital timeline of my disappearance. Sister left out of Christmas trip goes missing in snowstorm. Brother's no drama joke backfires as family is accused of abandonment. The TikTok mystery of Brianna West. A family's cruelty or a misunderstanding. I read about the Reddit threads. I saw the screenshots of my mother's Facebook. I saw the Stitch video, the one with my brother's careless swipe, circled in red. I read the comments, the thousands of messages from strangers, dissecting my life, my family, my value. I saw the quiet, responsible one comment. I saw my mother's pathetic, pink font, "People are too sensitive" Instagram story. I was not a person. I was a character. I was a story. And then I saw the final act, the one that had been posted while I was watching the Northern Lights. It was from Ethan. It was not a text. It was a video. It was him. Sitting in his room at the ski lodge, his eyes red and puffy, his hair a mess. He was crying. He was visibly, performatively, crying. I can't stay silent anymore. He sniffled into the camera. You guys, you have to stop harassing my family. He took a shaky breath, the perfect picture of a victim. You don't know the whole story. You just don't. My sister. We love her. We love her so much. But she has mental health issues. She has a lot of anxiety and depression, and she twists things. I felt the blood go cold in my veins. That text, it was an inside joke. She knew we were kidding, he pleaded, the tears now rolling down his cheeks. And now she's run away. She's done this before, to punish us. She's probably fine. Just trying to make us look bad. And it's working. People are threatening my job. They're threatening my girlfriend. He looked directly into the camera, his eyes brimming with manufactured pain. Brianna, if you see this, please just call Mom. Stop this. We love you. Please come home. I watched it twice. This was their move. This was the final play. When we're worried, did not work. When it's a joke, failed. They pulled the last, darkest card from the deck. I was not just drama. I was crazy. I was unstable. I was the one with mental health issues. I was the vindictive, manipulative villain, and they were the poor, loving, long-suffering family who just wanted their troubled daughter to come home. I closed the app. I felt nothing. The rage was gone. The hurt was gone. It had all been burned away, cauterized by the cold, clean light of the aurora. All I had left was a strange, sharp, and absolute clarity. I knew exactly what I had to do. I did not comment. I did not post. I did not engage. I simply opened a text message. To Uncle Rob. I'm back. I'm safe. I saw everything. I'm going to work tomorrow. It seems I have something to take care of. His reply was immediate. Good. Call if you need backup. I'm ready. I turned my phone off. I finished my coffee, picked up my bright red suitcase, and went home. I unpacked, I steamed my work clothes for the next day. I ordered groceries. I went to bed at 10 p.m. The next morning, I woke up, went for a run, showered, and put on my favorite work outfit: a sharp, black blazer, dark jeans, and ankle boots. I did my makeup. I looked competent. I looked calm. I looked like the senior UX designer who made $18,000 in bonuses. I walked into the lobby of Northline Studio at 8:50 a.m. And there they were. They were standing by the main elevator bank, looking completely, wildly out of place. My mother, Linda, was wearing a fur-trimmed coat, her hair a mess, her face pale and puffy. My father, Mark, was in a rumpled suit, his jaw tight, his eyes darting around the lobby like a cornered animal. They were an island of pure, frantic chaos in the smooth, corporate marble of the lobby. My mother saw me first. "Brianna!" Her voice was a sharp, desperate cry. She rushed toward me, not to hug me, but to grab my arm. "Brianna, thank God, you're okay." Her eyes were not looking at me. They were scanning the lobby, checking who was watching. "You have to help us," she hissed, her fingers digging into my parka. "Everyone thinks we're monsters. Your father's firm is asking questions. Ethan is a mess." My father strode over, all false, booming, paternal authority. "Brianna, this has gone far enough." He was holding two things. In one hand, a thick white envelope. In the other, a single, printed sheet of paper. "We need to fix this, as a family," he said, pushing the paper toward my chest. "Your mother and we've prepared a joint statement. We just need you to sign it. We'll post it on all our accounts, and you'll post it on yours." "What is this?" I asked. My voice was low, steady. It did not even sound like mine. "It's the truth," my mother said, her voice pleading. It explains everything. It's for your own good. Honey, it'll make this all go away." I took the paper. I read it. It was exactly what Ethan's video had started. It was beautifully, horribly, legally worded. It talked about my long-standing struggles with anxiety and my history of depressive episodes. It praised my family for their unwavering and private support through my treatments. It called the no room text a profoundly misunderstood inside joke from a loving brother. It concluded that the entire public drama was a regrettable misunderstanding, and that I, Brianna, was deeply sorry for the panic and pain my impulsive trip had caused my loving, supportive family. I was to be the problem. They were to be the saviors. I was to apologize for their cruelty. I read it all, my gaze flat. I looked up. I looked at my mother's desperate, pleading face. I looked at my father's angry, impatient one. I saw 12 years of no room. I saw 12 years of being the logistics problem. I saw the empty chair. I saw the $25 gift card. I saw the mental health issues video. I slowly, deliberately folded the paper in half. "Brianna, what are you?" my father started. I tore the paper clean in two. Then I tore it again, into quarters. I turned, walked the 3 steps to the sleek, stainless steel trash receptacle by the lobby's security desk, and I dropped the pieces inside. My mother gasped, a sound like a small animal being hit. "How could you?" My father's face went from red to a blotchy, furious purple. "You ungrateful?" "Sir, ma'am?" A new voice, calm and firm. The lobby security guard, Jerry, a man I said good morning to every single day, had stepped away from his desk. He was not looking at me. He was looking at my parents. "Do you two have an appointment with someone at Northline Studio today?" he asked, his tone perfectly polite, perfectly professional. I knew, in that moment, that HR had already been here, that David, or someone, had seen the online drama, anticipated this, and prepared for it. "An appointment?" my mother sputtered, incensed. "We don't need an appointment. We are her parents. This is our daughter." "I am his father," my father boomed, trying to intimidate him. Jerry did not flinch. "I understand that, sir, But this is a private, secure office building. If you don't have an appointment, I'm going to have to ask you to wait outside."
"You can't," my father began, stepping toward him.
"Dad." I said the word. It was flat, and it was cold, and it stopped him dead. He turned to me. I was not looking at him. I was looking directly, purposefully, at the small, domed security camera on the ceiling above the elevator bank. I was speaking for the record. "You are not allowed to be here," I said, my voice clear and carrying in the marble hall. "You are not allowed to ambush me at my place of work. This is a boundary. You do not get to cross it. This is my space, the one I built, the one I made room for myself in." "Brianna, you are humiliating us," my mother whispered, tears of rage in her eyes. "Sir," Jerry said again, more firmly, "I need you to step away from the employee." "We are not leaving until we—" my father started.
"I think you are."
A new voice, a familiar one. The elevator doors chimed open. Uncle Rob stepped out. He was wearing his good work jacket, and he had a printed Visitor R. West badge clipped to his lapel. He walked over, not to my parents, but to me. He stood right beside me, a solid, immovable wall. He nodded to Jerry. "Officer, thank you for handling this." He looked at my parents, his face a mask of cold disappointment. Then he looked back at Jerry. "My name is Rob West. I'm her uncle. I'm her official, on-record emergency contact, and I'm here to tell you that if these two people, Mark and Linda West, ever set foot in this lobby again, or attempt to bother my niece at her place of employment in any way, we will be filing a restraining order for harassment." My father's mouth opened, then closed. He looked small. He looked defeated. Jerry nodded. "Understood. Sir, ma'am, sir, you need to leave the building, now." They were escorted. My father, silent, his face a thundercloud. My mother, finally broken, weeping the hot, angry tears of someone who had lost, for the very first time, all control. As the glass doors hissed shut behind them, my mother turned back, her hand pressed to the glass, her face contorted. She mouthed the words, but I heard them through the glass, a final, venomous, desperate shot. "You will regret this, Brianna. You'll regret embarrassing this family in front of the whole world." I stood there, with Rob's hand on my shoulder, safe in the marble lobby. I looked at her, my mother, on the other side of the glass, a prisoner of her own making. "I've regretted it," I said, my voice quiet, just for myself and for Rob. "I've regretted it for 12 straight Christmases. I'm done." Rob's hand on my shoulder was a grounding force. I took one, deep, shaky breath, and the adrenaline from the confrontation began to recede, leaving behind a cold, clear exhaustion. He didn't say, "I told you so," or "That was crazy." He just squeezed my shoulder. "Come on," he said, his voice low. "I'm signed in as a visitor. Let's go have a coffee in the cafeteria. You've got about 20 minutes before you should probably go to your desk." He was right. He was giving me a buffer, a moment to transition from the ambushed daughter to the senior designer. We rode the elevator up to the 8th floor, to the sprawling, bright cafeteria. He bought me a coffee, and we sat at a small table overlooking the river. "You handled that," he said, not as a question. "I had to," I said, my hands wrapped around the warm cup. They printed a statement. Rob, they were going to make me sign it. It said I had treatments and anxiety, and that I was sorry for the panic. Rob's face, which had been concerned, hardened into a mask of pure, cold fury. "They what?" "It's fine," I said, a strange, hollow feeling in my chest. "I tore it up. I think I just fired my family." "Good," he said, with a sharp, definitive nod. "They were toxic assets. You just liquidated the portfolio." I almost laughed. It was a watery, broken sound. At 9:30 a.m., an email popped up on my screen. It was from Karen, the head of HR. Subject: "Quick check-in. Got a minute?" I walked into her office, a warm, plant-filled room. Karen was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s. With a kind, sharp gaze, she motioned for me to close the door. "Brianna," she said, folding her hands on her desk. "First, welcome back. We're all very glad you're safe. Second, Jerry from Lobby Security. He filed a report this morning, as he is required to do." I'm so sorry. Karen, I stammered. "I never wanted to bring that to my workplace. They just showed up." She held up a hand. "Stop. You have nothing to apologize for. You did not invite that confrontation. They did. I want to be 100% clear. Northline is not your family. We do not require you to explain your private life, the social media situation. We're aware of it only because your colleagues were and are genuinely concerned for your well-being. You are a valued, respected employee, and your personal life is your own." I nodded, the relief so strong it made me dizzy. "That said," she continued, leaning forward slightly, "your father's firm, it's a prominent one. Your family is loud. This has become a very public story, one that you did not start, but one that you are now the center of. I am not telling you what to do, but I am, as your HR partner, advising you. If you choose to say anything, to tell your side, be careful, be factual, and make sure, for your own legal and professional protection, that it cannot be construed as slander, but you have a right to your own story." She was giving me permission. No, not permission. She was giving me a legal framework. She was, in the most corporate and supportive way possible, handing me a shield and a sword. "Thank you. Karen," I said, my voice clear for the first time. "That means more than you know." "Good," she said, smiling. "Now get out of here. Go do the work you're actually paid for." I worked the entire day. I sat in a wireframe review meeting. I debated the merits of a toggle switch versus a checkbox. I responded to 53 emails. I was, for 8 solid hours, the consummate professional. And all the while, in the back of my mind, a document was being drafted. A timeline was being built. A user flow was being designed. I went home at 6 p.m. I did not order takeout. I made a simple salad. I sat in my quiet living room as the blue-gray light of a Chicago winter evening faded to black. Then, I opened my laptop. I set it on the dining table. I opened the camera app. I positioned the screen until the lighting from the lamp beside me was simple, clear, and direct, not too bright, not too shadowy. The background was just my neutral, gray wall. I sat in front of it for a long time. I thought about Ethan's tearful, manipulative video. I thought about my mother's pink, passive-aggressive, be-kind Instagram story. I thought about my father's legalistic, gaslighting joint statement. They had all told their stories. They had all used their voices to paint me as the villain, the unstable, ungrateful, dramatic one. They were all liars, and I was a UX designer. I had the receipts. I pressed record. I just sat there for a second, looking directly into the small green light. I did not cry. I did not yell. I did not look sad. I looked calm. "Hello," I said. My voice was steady. "My name is Brianna West. You may have seen a story online about me. I'm the sister with no room." I let the words hang in the air. "I am not making this video for sympathy," I continued, "and I'm not making it to attack anyone. I am making this video because my family has chosen to tell a story about me that is not true. They have suggested I have mental health issues, that I am manipulative, and that I am playing the victim. They are trying to control the narrative, and the only way to counter a false narrative is with the truth, with the facts." I opened a simple video editing program. I put my camera footage in the main timeline, and then I started to build my case. My family's story is that I impulsively ran away and chose to isolate myself. This is the truth. I inserted a title card, the timeline. For 12 years, I have been systematically and intentionally excluded from my family's Christmas plans. On the screen, next to my talking head, a list began to populate as I spoke. When I was 16, they went to New Orleans. The reason I was given was, the hotel room only fits 4. When I was 17, they went to Vermont. The reason I was given was, we need you to stay home and watch the dog. You're the responsible one. When I was 22, they went to Florida. I was not invited. I was sent a $25 Amazon gift card. On the screen, a screenshot of that very email, dated, with the subject line, "Stocking Stuffer," appeared. When I was 25, my mother promised me that next year, we would all be together. The next year, my brother got engaged, and I was asked to make space for his future family. The list went on. I named the trips. I named the excuses. Which brings us to this year, I said. On December 23rd, after pulling 2 weeks of overtime at my job, I received this text message from my brother. On the screen, the screenshot appeared. Ethan's name, his smirking emoji. No room for you on the Christmas cabin trip. Maybe next year. 45 minutes later, I said, my mother posted this. The Facebook photo appeared. The entire family, in matching pajamas, in a luxury cabin. My mother's caption, all my favorite people in one place for Christmas. My brother, I said, commented on this photo. The comment appeared, circled in red. No drama allowed this year? The story I was told was, no room. The story they told the public was, no drama. The truth is, there was an empty chair by the fire. You can see it in the photo. There was always room. They just didn't want me in it. I then walked the world through the last week. I booked a trip for myself, a solo trip to Montana. I told my uncle where I was going. While I was on that train, my brother's TikTok, the one he claims was a joke, went viral. My family was contacted by strangers, and they became, for the first time, afraid of the consequences of their actions. But they were not, I said, my voice sharp and cold. Afraid for me. They were afraid for themselves. I put up the timestamp from my uncle's phone, the text from my mother. If something happens to her, everyone is going to think it's my fault. Then, I said, they called the police, not because they were worried, but because, as my mother said, they needed an official report to prove they were concerned. Here is the text from my uncle to the police officer, confirming I was safe, and here is the officer's report, classifying the incident as a non-criminal family-related dispute started on social media. I looked for the last time, directly into the camera. The video was 10 minutes long. I am not mentally unstable, I said, my voice hard as steel. I am not playing the victim. I am a woman who was told, repeatedly, that she did not belong. I am a designer, and I believe in data. The data is clear. So I did exactly what they asked me to do for 12 years. I made myself scarce. I booked a different trip. If you have ever been told there is no room for you in your own family, if you have ever been made to feel like drama for just wanting a seat at the table, remember this. You are allowed to book a different trip. You are allowed to build your own table, and you are allowed to tell your own story. This is mine. I hit stop. I watched the whole thing back. I did not add a single cut I did not need. I did not add music. I did not add a filter. It was just me, in my gray living room, with natural light and a calm, steady voice, presenting the evidence. It was the most devastatingly honest thing I had ever made. I uploaded it. I did not post it to TikTok or Instagram. I posted it to my own personal YouTube channel, one I never used. I titled the video, simply, The Sister with No Room, My Side of the Story. Then I sent the link to one person, Uncle Rob. I closed my laptop. I did not know it at the time, but Rob did not just watch it. He shared it. He shared it on his Facebook page, the one all my extended family, all my parents' friends, all the aunts and uncles and cousins, followed. His caption was short. This is my niece, Brianna. This is her story. I have been a witness from day one. I suggest you listen. The video did not go viral in the way Ethan's did. It did not explode. It was a slow burn detonation. It got 100 views, then 1,000, then 50,000. By the next morning, it had hundreds of thousands. The comments were different. They were not, OMG, trash. They were, this is my life. The no room text. I got that exact text from my stepmother. The you're the responsible one as an excuse to leave you behind. I am crying. This is the most powerful, dignified, and heartbreaking presentation of facts I have ever seen. She's a UX designer. This is the ultimate case study. Ethan, frantic, posted an Instagram story, a black screen, white text. That's not how I remember it. You can't believe everything you see. There are two sides to every story. It was the weakest, most pathetic defense possible. The internet, now armed with my timeline and my screenshots, turned on him with a vengeance. Two sides? A top comment read. She brought screenshots. Bro, you brought tears and she's crazy. We've seen the evidence. My mother, Linda, tried a different approach. She posted a long, rambling, vague Facebook status. It is not easy being a parent. You try your best. You give your children everything, and sometimes they grow up and twist your intentions. My heart is broken. The comments were not on her side. Not this time. Her book club friends, her neighbors, they were all silent. The strangers were not. Why are there no Christmas photos of you and your daughter together for 12 years? You're heartbroken? You told her she wasn't one of your favorite people and then called the cops for your own alibi. This is classic narcissist's prayer. She twisted your intentions? Your no-room text was pretty clear. The final domino fell on Thursday. I heard from a friend at Ethan's company. The internal backlash, after my video came out, was immediate. The HR department, which had been tagged relentlessly, held an all-hands-on-deck meeting about company culture, social media image, and employee conduct. My video, I was told, was not shown, but it was referenced as the catalyst. Ethan was not fired, but he was, for the first time in his charmed, careless, golden boy life, facing real, tangible, professional consequences for his actions. The pressure was real. I, in the meantime, had gone to work. I had come home, and that night, I sat in my living room, and I closed my laptop. It was quiet. It was the first truly silent evening of the entire ordeal. The war was over. The notifications had stopped. It was not the silence of being ignored. It was not the silence of being left out. It was the silence of case closed. I had said my piece. I had presented my evidence. I had published my findings. The world could read the report. My work, finally, was done. The silence that followed my video was, for a few months, just silence. The world moved on. The viral moment passed. My life, for the first time, was quiet. But it was a quiet of my own making. I worked. I saw my friends. I went to Milwaukee for weekend barbecues. I was, for all intents and purposes, just living. My family, in that time, was a black hole. No texts, no calls, no angry emails. After their failed ambushes, the one in my lobby and the ones online, they had retreated. There was, at last, a boundary. And then it was November. The holidays were creeping back in, the air turning sharp, the first decorations appearing in shop windows. I felt a small, familiar tightening in my chest. The old, programmed anxiety, but it was different this time. It was an echo, not a storm. The text came from a number I did not recognize, but the preview was unmistakable. It was from Ethan. Brianna, it's me. Can we please talk? Just you and me. I'll come to you. I'll meet you anywhere. Please. I stared at it. I could have deleted it. I could have blocked him. But something in the tone. It was not the arrogant, smug brother I knew. It was deflated. I chose a public, bright, loud as possible cafe. In the middle of a weekday, I chose a table right by the window. He walked in, and I almost did not recognize him. He looked terrible. He was thin, pale. The slick, arrogant confidence he always wore was gone. replaced by a kind of weary, hunted look. He had dark circles under his eyes. He sat down, and he could not meet my gaze.
"Hey," he said, his voice low, scraping.
"Ethan," I said, my voice neutral. I was not angry. I was not anything. I was just a designer, in a meeting, waiting for the brief. "So," he started, staring at his hands on the table. You look good." "I'm doing well. Ethan, what did you want to talk about?" He flinched at my directness. The old Brianna would have filled the silence, asked him if he was okay, offered him a coffee. I just waited. I wanted to talk about Christmas," he stammered. I just nodded, my face impassive. "Look, things have been a mess. This whole last year, it's been really hard." "Hard for who?" I asked, my voice still quiet. For everyone," he said, finally looking up, and I saw a flicker of the old defensive Ethan. My job, they put me on probation. Social media conduct, I'm still there, but it's not good. And Sophie." "What about Sophie?" She left back in March. She said the negative attention was too much for her brand. She said my family had too much baggage." I almost laughed. It was the most perfect, ironic, and meaningless consequence in the world. He had traded his sister for a girlfriend who, it turned out, was just a colder, more successful version of himself. "I'm sorry to hear that, Ethan," I said, and the strange thing was, I almost meant it. It was a pathetic, wasted situation. "Yeah, well," he said, rubbing his face. "So, Christmas, Mom and Dad, we're not doing a trip. We're not going anywhere. We're just staying home in Chicago. A small, quiet Christmas, just at the house." He took a deep breath. "And we were gone. We were planning. And there's room for you. We really want you there. Mom. She really wants you to be there." "Room?" The word hit me, not like a knife, but like a dull, boring thud. It was the last, exhausted bullet in their chamber, the word that started it all, now being presented as a gift. I looked at him, my head tilted, like he was a user I was trying to understand. "Ethan," I said, and my voice was gentle, almost clinical. "Room? For who?" What do you mean, for you?" "For me?" I asked. "Or for the family picture? For the neighbors? For your mom's Facebook friends? The ones who saw my video? Are you inviting me? Or are you trying to fill the empty chair that's been haunting you for a year?" He looked down. He could not, even now, lie about it. He was a terrible designer. His user flow was broken. Mom is scared," he admitted, his voice a whisper. "She's scared everyone thinks we're a terrible family. She just wants one picture. One with both of us, smiling."
"And Dad?"
Dad. He's tired of the gossip. He's tired of his relatives, of Aunt Karen, asking him how you're really doing. He just wants it to be over. So you want me to come home, to perform, so you can all feel comfortable again." It was not a question. It was a statement of fact. "No," he said, then deflated. "Yes, I don't know. I want to fix it. I want it to be like it was." "Like it was?" I asked. "When? When it was like it was? Ethan, I was the one you were telling no room. You don't want to fix it. You just want to reset the game to the last level you were comfortable playing." I reached into my bag. I had not known if I would need it, but I had prepared it. My own joint statement. I pulled out a single, white envelope. I slid it across the table. He looked at it, confused. "What is this?" "Open it," I said. He did. He pulled out a single sheet of paper. It was a timeline, a clean, simple, beautifully designed timeline. My logo from Northline was in the corner. It was titled The No Room Initiative, a 12-year retrospective. And it listed, in clean vector-based design every year. 2011. New Orleans. Justification. Hotel room only fits 4. 2012. Vermont. Justification. Dog sitting/responsible one. 2017. Florida. Justification. None given. Resolution. 25 their Amazon card. He read it. His pale face went completely, totally white. I leaned forward, my voice still quiet, but now it had a cold, sharp edge. You don't get it. Ethan, you're not panicking because you miss your sister. You're not even panicking because your girlfriend left you. You're panicking because, for the first time in your entire life, the whole world, your boss, your friends, all saw the empty chair, the one I've been sitting in for 12 years, all alone, in the cold. I'm sorry. He whispered. The words sounded foreign, painful, on his tongue. I was an idiot. I was a jerk. But you didn't have to post that video. You didn't have to make it so public. And there it was, the gaslight, the final, flickering, pathetic attempt to make his cruelty my fault. I smiled. I actually smiled. It was a small, sad, polite smile. I slid the timeline back into my bag. I stood up. That's all you needed to say, I said. I have my answer. Wait, what? What about Christmas? He said, scrambling to his feet. You have a lovely Christmas, Ethan, I said, pulling on my coat. You have your plans. But what are you doing? I said, zipping up my jacket, have my own. I walked out of the cafe, and I did not look back. I did not have to. I drove up to Milwaukee on Christmas Eve. The 90-minute drive felt like a pilgrimage. I parked in the driveway, which was, as always, a mess of Leo's bikes and snow shovels. I was not even out of the car when the front door burst open. Leo, now 7 and a foot taller, sprinted out without a coat, his face a supernova of joy. Brianna, you're here! You're here! He launched himself at me, and I caught him in a hug that almost knocked me over. Rob and Marina were on the porch, framed in the warm light. Rob was wearing his ridiculous Kiss the Cook apron. Marina was holding a glass of wine. Took you long enough, Rob yelled, his voice thick with affection. I walked up the steps, Leo still attached to my leg. Taped to the front door, over the wreath, was a piece of construction paper. It was one of Leo's drawings, a picture of a dragon and a robot, sitting at a dinner table. And above it, in his 7-year-old scrawl, it said, Welcome, Brianna. The seat is reserved. I stopped and just touched the paper. Marina came over and put her arm around my shoulder. He's been working on that all day. He wanted to make sure you knew. We went inside. The house was warm, loud, and smelled overwhelming of garlic and pine. The table was set, every mismatched plate and chair filled, and there, at the head of the table, next to Rob, was a single, empty chair. On the plate was a small, hand-lettered place card. Brianna. Marina handed me a small linen napkin, embroidered with a single, elegant letter B. This is your home, Brianna, she said, her voice quiet, her eyes clear. If you want it, this is your table. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I knew, without looking, who it was. We sat, we ate, we argued about movies, we laughed until I cried. Real, actual, cleansing tears. Later, as we were clearing the plates, I glanced at my phone. It was exactly as I had predicted. 4 missed calls, Linda. 2 texts, Linda. The first text, Brianna, we're waiting for you. We've set a place. The second text, a photograph. It was her dining room table. Polished, perfect, with one single, dramatically lit empty chair, right next to Ethan. The caption, missing someone. I looked at the picture of her empty, silent, perfect, desperate table. I looked at the real table I was clearing, covered in gravy stains, wine rings, and the debris of a loud, joyful, chaotic meal. I did not reply. It was not out of anger. It was not out of spite. It was just, I was busy. I was home. I put my phone, screen down, on the counter and went to get the dessert. We were all in the living room, hours later, hopelessly entangled in a board game. Rob was accusing Leo of cheating. Marina was pretending to read the rules. The TV was on, volume low, playing some holiday special. A segment came on. A host was talking about the concept of found family, about how, sometimes, the people we are related to are not the people we belong with. Rob, hearing it, turned the volume up. We all watched for a second. "Well, that's a load of crap," Rob announced. "Family is family," Marina swatted his arm. "He means us. You goof. He means we're the found ones." "Oh," Rob said. "Well, in that case, he's a genius." We all laughed. It was a small, silly, perfect moment from the universe. As we were setting up a second round, Leo, who was leaning his head against my shoulder, looked up at me.
"Brianna?" he asked, his voice sleepy.
"Yeah, buddy?"
Are you sad? That you're not at your other grandma and grandpa's house?"
I stopped moving the game piece. I looked at this small boy who had, with one construction paper sign, healed a 12-year wound. I looked at Rob, who was already falling asleep in his armchair. I looked at Marina, who was smiling at me over the rim of her wineglass. "No, sweetie," I said, and my voice was perfectly, completely steady. "I'm not sad at all. I am home." It was the last word. It was the truth. Much later, after they had all gone to bed, I could not sleep. I put on my coat and went to sit on the cold, quiet front porch. The snow was falling again, a soft, white blanket, muffling the world. I took a deep, clean breath of the freezing air. My phone, which I had brought out with me, buzzed on the arm of the chair. I had forgotten to put it on silent. It was one last text, from Linda. "Please come home tomorrow. We're ready to talk." We're ready to talk. I looked at the message, glowing in the dark, a year ago. Those words would have been a prayer answered. It was all I had ever wanted, for them to be ready. Now they just sounded late. They were ready, but they were ready on their terms. After their performance had been ruined, after their public image had been shattered, they were ready to talk. But I knew, they were not ready to listen. I looked at the text for a long, long time. I thought about the 12 years. I thought about the no room. I thought about the empty chair. Then I thought about the aurora. I thought about the reserved seat. I thought about the embroidered napkin. I did not need their panic anymore. I did not need their frantic, last-minute invitations. I did not need their readiness. I had my own. I pressed the button on the side of the phone. The screen went dark. I placed the phone, face down, on the small table next to my chair. The chair that was mine, the one that was reserved for me, the one that finally, completely, fit. I leaned my head back, closed my eyes, and I just sat there, in the quiet, on my own, listening to the snow fall. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'd love to know what you think and where you're listening from. Let's chat about it in the comments. Please subscribe to Lila Revenge Stories, like this video, and if you really loved it, please support us by hitting that hype button so more people can hear this story.